So here we are, the next episode of Fourq. Today, I'm in Steve Harris's house. Hello, Steve.
Hi, mate. You all right?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Very good, thank you.
Nice to be here. So, Steve, how long have you been doing comedy now?
Since 1998. Well, according to the Inland Revenue. Since 98. 98 is when I won the Northwest Comedian of the Year award, and I'd only done about 5 gigs, so it was early.
Oh my goodness! So you literally started woomph.
Yeah,
like...
but it went woomph and then went. Within a week.
Yeah.
Within a week, it was like it was a good competition to win.
Yeah.
Because it was very prestigious, and the person that won that before me was Peter Kay,
Blooming heck.
Steve Coogan, Carolina Hearn, Chris Addison. So it had a really good pedigree.
Incredible. Yeah.
I came and broke that cycle. I was like this turd in a punch bowl that came along and had this really lucky gig.
Yeah.
But what it did was it got me a lot of work very quickly, and I didn't know there was a circuit. I thought there was Scruffy Murphy's, which was Toby Adog's gig, and the Frog and Bucket in the world. So I didn't know.
In your world, that was it. That was
there. Of course, it was. Yeah.
Flipping heck, that's amazing. And then it just kind of and then it's all. You start to then realise that you can't just kind of wing it every time. And, oh mate.
Yeah. You can't, and you've also got to be funny, and you've got to. You can be funny, which is why I got into it. Because I'm a funny man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm a dickhead, but I've managed to turn that into an art form where somebody goes, "Should we give him money for that?"
Should we?
I don't know. Yeah, give us the money.
That's nice. You know, like you've kind of turned your inner dickhead to a commodity.
That's right.
It's a real
everybody
thing to do.
You should do that. Yeah, it is a dickhead thing to do.
So the 4 questions. As you know, it's so the first one is so that was a little bonus question. I appreciate you coming in on that. Cheers, Steve. So the 4 questions are what your favourite memory? Was that your favourite memory? Would you say that when you had that?
Yes.
When you actually won after 5 gigs, it's unbelievable.
Winning the Northwest Comedian of the Year was an accomplishment, and I was astounded because I'd only seen it on TV.
Yeah.
The year before, because it was on at the Palace Theatre and Carolina Hearn was comparing, and I remember thinking, I'd love to be on that. And I wasn't even a comedian then. And then the following year, not only am I a comedian, I win it. So and I remember being stood at the back, and Agraman was there, and he came up and he was one of the judges, and he put his hand on my shoulder and said, and he went, "Maybe next time, sunshine." So he kind of he wound me up. So I was like, "Oh, okay, never mind. I don't expect to win that."
Yeah.
And boom, they said the winner is Steve Harris, and I was like. And I was just looking around, and everybody hated me from that point. All these really established comedians are like,
who's this guy?
Who's this?
Oh man, if it was like on Britain's Got Talent, it would have had the music playing over and you know, everyone going, your family there.
But it was funny because I was married at the time, and my wife, she'd stayed at home, and she weren't getting on very well. And I came back home, and she was in bed, and I woke her, and I said, "Chloe," she went, "What?" And I said, "I've just won the Northwest Comedian of the Year award," and she went, "You're late." Like, oh, well, that's it then. That's over.
Yeah. So you come on, you didn't even need to wait till your next gig.
No.
Yeah. Flipping right, mate, and that was. I was going to be late many times after that.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, so I spoke to Greg Cook actually, and he said he'd had a very similar thing. He won an award right on his first or second gig. And he was like a taxi driver at the time. Yeah. And he just kind of won it and then got back in his taxi.
Yeah, well, I was a bus driver. I was driving buses for the handicapped and elderly, and I was doing Meals on Wheels for everybody all around here. And just got back on my bus.
You just got back in your bus?
Back in the bus, and then that was it. Just back doing Meals on Wheels for all the old people.
On that, I ain't nothing about that.
I'll do about that. I will about that. You say if I don't.
Cheers, boss. That's a mental. So that's beautiful. So and what would you? And people love this one because most people that they go, oh great, yeah, that sounds like a great favourite gig. But people really want to know when it was excruciatingly painful. What was that moment where you just said,
oh
swallowed me up, world.
Right. Well, again, it's this North West Comedian of the Year thing. I got a lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah.
And let's go, welcome the new North West Comedian of the Year. So they already think you're funny, so you're getting away with murder.
Yeah.
So I'm doing well, and and I've not really encountered a brick wall yet.
Yeah.
Right? I've had a couple of deaths, but not a brick wall. And I rang up Off the Curb, which me and you both know is the biggest agent in the UK. They've got Lee Evans.
Yeah.
They've got
Alan
McIntyre. They're massive, right?
Yeah.
And I managed to worm my way in, right? By saying I'm a new North West Comedian of the Year. Well, I held a lot of weight with them because of everybody that's just won it and all that kind of stuff. So I convinced Danny, his name is off the curb. He does all the gigs. So I managed to convince them that I was super duper, this new North West Comedian of the Year. And they're like, all right, okay, go to the Glee Club on this day. Here's your gig. Blah blah bang. So I go down. I turn up dead early. 6 o'clock I get there. The gig's not till 8:30. So I'm at like
so you can clear, so you're not.
I've got like a pair of like boots over my shoulder, what I changed into, like Dick Whittington.
Yeah,
like some shit.
Oh no.
And so I go in, and even the bouncers are taking a piss, going, "Mate, you're keen." I'm like, well, I'm just going to go through my set, and so that one actually I didn't have anything. I just had like a piece of paper
like a fag packet. You just like, oh no.
So anyway, I died. Like I can still feel.
Yeah.
The pain and the anguish of that death, and it was full. There was about 350 people. I'd only ever been. Most was 40 that I'd done. This is 350 comedy savvy people, late 90s. So everybody's just coming off the Ben Elton thing and all that.
Yeah.
And so I get up there, and there's nothing, and it's rubbish. It's terrible. I'm swearing too much. Not doing any jokes. I'm going into material that I'd only just written that I hadn't written a punchline for, so I was just talking. Right?
Oh, no.
And then every time I dried up, I bent down and picked up this white plastic, squishy plastic cups of orange juice.
Yeah.
And as I picked that up, that was shaking. And every time I took a drink, this bloke at the front went, made that noise. And every time I took the drink, and in the end, I just threw the mic down and ran off, got my boots, and ran out and ran off and got on the phone to my missus and went, I'm not doing this. I'm giving this up. I'm fucking terrible. I'm terrible. So I ring Off the Curb up the next day, and I say, hello, Danny, and he went, all right, Steve, all right. I went, listen, mate, I'm nowhere near as good as I said I was. I'm really sorry. I need at least a year. And he starts laughing, and he went, yeah, no problem, mate, no problem. Put the phone down, and a year later, they rang me and gave me a load of work.
Whoa!
And they said, Steve, you're the only person, the only comedian since Off the Curb was open that's ever rang and told us that they're not good enough. He said, we still laugh about it now, like 17 years later, they still laugh about it. He said, but never do that again.
Yeah. Very honest, but as a business strategy.
Yeah.
Or maybe, no, if there's going to be a load of comedians watching this thinking, that's the way to get in. Yeah. Hello, Off the Curb. Yeah. I am rubbish. Not ready yet. Waiting for them to go on, we'll give you your first try.
Yeah, it's awful.
So, clearly that's a brilliant start and a terrible start all at the same time. And you've been doing it since the late 90s now. What's that keeps you going within all this?
Well, just like, obviously, you get that validity on,
you do.
On stage, and because we're a bit odd comedians. We just are. When I like mix with normal people, like when I say normal, I mean like
layman.
Yeah, people that aren't in comedy, right? And you know that because comedy is a beacon for freaks and weirdos. It really is.
It draws them
for the creative, and also because how many weirdos do we know that?
Really,
loads, but they're also nice to be around as well, aren't they? But they've got their idiosyncrasies, and they get on your nerves a bit. But you still love them because you're the comedy brother, aren't they? You know what I mean? You still some you know what I mean. Some people you can't stand, but you still put up with them because they're a mate.
Yeah, totally. Comedy. Yeah, that's it. There's a fraternity almost.
Yeah, and that's what I love about that is that I'm not the oddest person on the block. Do you know what I mean?
Right, if you were in an office, you'd be like, oh,
Steve's in. Oh, here he is.
Hang on to your coat.
So I like it for that reason because I can do whatever I want and say whatever I want and be as creative as I want and fail as much as I want and not be judged really.
It's all right.
It's all right. Yeah. It's okay because we all take risks, and and it's when people in this game, when you do take massive risks and it fails, everybody's like, nice try, mate.
They do, innit? And actually every failure, even every terrible gig, is actually part of that kind of genesis.
It's a notch.
It's story. Like my worst ever gig is now a piece of material as well that I use because it's so excruciatingly bad. People love the idea of it, and you take them on that journey. And
it's a constant learning curve, comedy. Yeah. I mean, at 17 years in 6 weeks' time, something will happen to me where I'll take another great.
No, I know what you mean. And the fact is, right from that early gig, you had the funny, you had it, but the more you do it, you kind of carry that gravitas with you. You know what I mean? So it's like you do the extra gigs, and then as you stand on stage, you kind of like, even though the people there that might not know your name, they kind of they just know you've done 1,000, however many thousand gigs, because it just shows in your body language and everything. It shows.
When new comics ask me, I always say, when they ask for advice, I say, well, it's stage time, and it's how you cope with dying on stage. Yeah, you've got to die loads of times on stage to get any good. Because it's dealing with the death that's going to sort the men out from the boys. Because once you start choking up and sweating and forgetting what you were saying and losing your thread, and the audience lose confidence in you, they become a bit scared, but it's not folding under pressure.
Totally. And I think there's something about dying on stage is also facing your worst fear. Once you've done it a few times, it's always good for you. You go, okay, is that as bad as it gets? Yeah. Even though it gets bad.
Well, it makes you go into the audience, not literally, but it makes you start to, if you get a persistent heckler, rather than slamming that guy down, it's easy. It's much easier to get under the veneer and find out why and what he's saying and why. And then, but that's the confidence from no fear of death now, because you can take the gig somewhere else and not worry about dying because you can wriggle out of it.
You can almost absorb it.
But then it's bespoke comedy then, which is great, for the audience, because they know it's happening. What's happening is will never happen again. That's interesting,
because when you see a seasoned pro, like kind of people early on in the career, there's often like sort of, there are kind of set heckle put downs and all that kind of, but when you see a real seasoned pro, they almost don't need those tools anymore, because you can see there's almost a steely confidence in them. They're going, I don't even need those weapons.
Unless it's a drunk woman, then all bets are off.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse, is there? Drunk women, drunk female hecklers are horrible.
Then just, then you just do the class, get everyone else to boo her or something like that, and then even then if she's not listening, it's game over.
Because if you're going hard, even if you're going hard on her, her mates around her, because she might start crying. Yeah. Because if she starts crying, then you're a bastard. All the mates in them, we're going.
You don't even know her.
Yeah. She's having a really bad time.
Right, and finally, last question. So that's beautiful, and I mean, you've got a lot going on, Steve. You've got hundreds of children. You've got you've got your own cafe, and you travel around the world, Middle East, and doing all the headline all the gigs. Acting. That's right. That's very good.
Husband.
He's a very good husband. So what would you say is that thing that kind of gets you out of bed in the morning?
Well, I think you just said it all.
Just like
kids, family, cafe. I'd go insane without it.
You don't actually get a chance to think about that. I suppose you just have to get on and do it, don't you?
I have to do it for the validation and the money. It's two major aspects. Because I think I would go mad. It stops me from killing people. It stops me from wandering around Waterstones with a machete. Is what it stops me doing, and poisoning the water supply. I thought about that quite a lot.
So on behalf of the society, keep going. All the best with comedy and family. Stay safe. Cheers, Steve.
Thank you.